Hey guys, my name is Zaina. Today we are going to learn about tattoo history in Japan. Also a disclaimer, I am not an expert in this genre of art. I just like to learn new things, so here are some interesting things I learned about the history of tattooing in Japan. Tattoos, or also called horimono, have an extensive history in Japan, starting as far back as 5000 BC. Clay figurines depicting designs on the face and body, the first written record of tattoos in Japan, were in 300 AD, found in the history textbook of Chinese dynasties. In the book, men would tattoo their faces and bodies, but between 300 to 600 AD, tattoos took more of a negative light. In between 300 and 600 AD, criminals were marked with descriptive phrases of the crime that was committed. The tattoo stigma became more frowned upon by the 8th century. Japanese rulers had adopted many of the Chinese attitudes and cultures. By 720 AD was the first record of using tattoos as a punishment. Criminals were tattooed on their foreheads so people could see the crimes they committed. People who had been marked on their foreheads were ostracized from their families and rejected by society. As society entered the Edo period, Chinese novel Suikoden depicted heroic scenes with bodies decorated in tattoos. Utagawa Kuniyoshi began writing the 108 heroes of the popular Suikoden series from 1827. The characters he painted were full of dynamic movement, emphasizing the rich color and aesthetic decoration, bringing visual stimulation and shock. This novel left an impact on people, turning these forms of paintings into tattoos. The novel became popular, evolving into what we know as irezumi, or Japanese tattooing. There were many woodblock artists that were converting their woodblock printing tools into creating art on the skin. Right here you can see Manny, the owner and artist of Revolution Tattoo Parlor, which I work at. He specializes in Japanese, and these are actual woodblock carving tools. They're authentic Japanese woodblock carving tools. Really neat to see in person. I might have to give this woodblock carving a go. If you'd be interested in watching a tutorial or a time-lapse on a woodblock printing, let me know in the comments. Just comment woodblock printing. During this time period, tattoos were done by hand using bamboo rods and needles. This technique is called tabori, or hand carving. Tattoos became a symbol of wealth. Wealthy merchants were prohibited from wearing or displaying their wealth with jewelry, so instead they decorated their bodies with tattoos. By the end of the 17th century, tattoo punishments on the foreheads were replaced with other forms of punishment. The reason tattoos were once associated with gangs were because criminals would cover their penal tattoos with larger, more elaborate tattoos. The Yakuza would use tattoos as a pledge of commitment to the gang, but in 1868, the Meiji period, the emperor once again banned tattoos. Although it was banned, the law did not apply to tattooing foreigners. Tattoo artists would tattoo out of Yokohama, targeting mainly sailors and clients from Europe. In 1936, war broke out between China and Japan again. People were drafted to war, but excluding anyone with tattoos because they were considered problematic and undisciplined. Tattoos were completely banned up until 1946. After the war, many American soldiers with tattoos were stationed in Japan. Their presence on the island played a role in the evolution of the tattoo profession. Between the end of the 1950s and the beginning of the 1960s, Tu Horishi, a master tattooist who practices traditional Japanese tattooing, participated and cultivated the new journey of horimono, or also known as tattoo. The first Horishi is known as Horigoro. He encountered an American soldier who owned an electric tattoo machine. This inspired Horigoro to make his very own machine. This is how the first Japanese tattoo machine appeared. The second Horishi is known as Horihide, who was the first to establish a connection with an American tattooist. At a temple in Asakusa, Horihide met 3 American soldiers with tattoos on their arms. The colorful tattoos were created by a machine and not by hand like tabori. Horihide got the business card of one of the men at the temple. One of the men was a tattoo artist who was living in Hawaii at the time, who, you might have guessed it, was Sailor Jerry, the pioneer and grandfather of the style American traditional tattoos. Sailor Jerry was interested in the Japanese imagery, while Horihide was interested in getting all the colors to tattoo with. Sailor Jerry taught him how to tattoo with a machine, later gifting him the machine and colors. Before well-known pigments were at hand, Japanese tattooing was only made with sumi and vermilion pigment. This pigment was problematic and not safe. The horishi would boil, treat, and remove the mercury from the mixture, but would still cause strong fevers for 1 to 2 days after being penetrated into the skin. Between 1960 and 1970, the image of tattooing in Japan once again was stained. During the period, the Yakuza movies stormed in the Japanese cinema industry. The Yakuza were depicted wearing Japanese tattoos. In 1980 to 1990, the Yakuza organization became more and more intense. The Japanese government passed an anti-gang law in 1992, ordering to dismantle the Yakuza. The number of Yakuza dropped from 180,000 members to 28,000 by the end of 2019. At this time, the population starts to forbid access of their business to the Yakuza, specifically the bathhouses. In spite of the opinions of horimono, the culture persists and keeps moving forward. Nowadays, horimono has never been so popular in Europe, the United States, and South America as it is today. There is so much more history to understand the entirety of horimono. Few foreigners and even Japanese are able to understand and apply all the rules to govern this craft. The study of Japanese tattooing is a vast subject which lasts a lifetime. In this painting, I decided to paint a Japanese folklore kappa, which means river child. They are mischievous water spirits, often depicted as a small, green, humanoid creature with a turtle shell, webbed hands and feet, in a dish-like cavity on its head filled with water, which is believed to be the source of its power. The kappa are sometimes said to smell like fish, and they can swim like them. While potentially dangerous and mischievous, they are said to be very honorable, always keeping promises, and being highly intelligent. While kappas are primarily water creatures, they do on occasion venture onto land. They have a dish on their head which must be filled with water at all times. When they venture on land, the dish on their head can be covered with a metal cap for protection. If the water spills, the kappa can be easily overcome. The kappa's behaviors can range from a minor misdemeanor, such as looking up a woman's kimono if they venture near to water, to outright evil, such as drowning people and animals, kidnapping children, and sometimes eating human flesh. There is a big claim that cucumbers are their traditional favorite meals. At festivals, offerings of cucumber are frequently made to the kappa. Sometimes the kappa is said to have other favorite foods such as Japanese eggplant, soba, soybeans, or Japanese pumpkin. During the Edo period, there used to be a tradition where people would write the names of their family members on cucumbers and send them afloat into the streams to mollify the kappa and prevent the family from coming to harm in the streams. Also, in some regions, it's customary to eat cucumbers before swimming as protection, but in others, it is believed that this act would guarantee an attack. The kappa is also known for removing a mythical organ called the shirikodama from the victim's anus. According to Japanese folklore, the human soul exists as a small hardened magical ball within the human's body cavity. Thank you for listening about the history of traditional Japanese tattoos. Subscribe to learn more about tattoo styles, artists, and more. Don't forget to like and comment what you want to learn about or would like to see me paint for next time. Thanks for watching.